Now, Anthony Scaramucci was the former communications director for the Trump administration. In what has to be a record turnaround for someone in the White House, he was fired just after serving 10 days in his new role. So he's in, he's out, gone. All right. Now, a lot of people are wondering, hey, man, what happened? Oh, and not only that, but what's next for the mooch? Well, for that, I go to Vicky Ward of the Huffington Post. She recently not only spoke to Scaramucci, but she also spoke to Roger Stone. Now, Stone said that Scaramucci had reminded him of, quote, a suicide bomber. Oh, that's a bad analogy, man. No, that's terrible. Now, he also said, but this administration is a lot like the French Revolution. You never know who will be beheaded next. Oh, boy. Again, you know what? That's sort of an oddly apt comparison. Because there's been a lot of people getting the axe. Just saying. Now, in the same interview, Stone said that he didn't believe Scaramucci would stay far from the president for long. He said, as you know, none of us are ever really gone. He still has the president's cell phone, the president's private number. Just because he's not in the White House, no one should think his influence is gone. That's very interesting. So, now, as you're about to see, Scaramucci does plan on actually making a comeback. Now, look, I didn't really get to talk about the reason that he was fired, so I'm actually going to expand on that now. It's not because he was doing a poor job. It's actually because I believe he was overshadowing the president. He was stealing the limelight. Now, that right there is number one offense in Trump world. Whether you're trying or not, if you take the spotlight from Donald Trump, well, you're done. And look, Scaramucci, he is a lot like Trump. He's got the mannerisms. He's got the New York accent going on. So, look, man, this guy, he gets on camera. He was actually hungry for the camera. So, very, very eager to go in front of the camera. And, again, if you do that in Trump world, he don't like that. Okay? Now, she writes that from the beginning of his time in the Trump White House, way back in July 20th, critics said Scaramucci was too similar to Trump. I also said that. Too eager to be on TV to last. Scaramucci was keenly aware of that particular liability. It explains why his opening news conference was so filled with compliments for the president. He knew that there was only one person watching whose opinion of him mattered. Now, Scaramucci told the Huffington Post reporter, quote, the president thought I killed it and said, if you were 7 inches taller, I'd be worried. And that's according to someone who was familiar with the conversation, but who asked not to be named, quoting the president. So, look, early on, there were problems of Scaramucci, as I said, getting too much of the limelight. He was getting a little worried. Hell, man, if you were 7 inches taller, I'd be worried. No, actually, you were quite worried, especially since Scaramucci tends to draw some drama, okay? In fact, he was getting in a lot of trouble. Now, one of the examples of that is, of course, Ryan Lizza of The New Yorker tweeting out that Scaramucci was at a dinner with the president, First Lady, and Fox News host Sean Hannity, as well as former Fox News host or Fox News co-president Bill Shine. Now, Scaramucci, he said he was livid about the information being passed on to a reporter. For one thing, he said that guest list was incomplete. The tweets didn't mention the presence of Ashley Earnhardt and Brian Kilmeade, co-hosts of Fox and Friends, as well as the White House counselor Kellyanne Conway and Vice President Mike Pence, who he said left before the sit-down dinner. Now, something tells me that it's not really the fact that, oh, it's an incomplete guest list. No, I think there was more to it. For another, he knew that the full guest list also included Kimberly Guilfoyle, co-host of The Five on Fox News, and earlier that next morning, Olivia Newsy, of the New York Magazine confirmed that Guilfoyle was also there. Scaramucci realized that the inclusion of Guilfoyle would raise suspicion. Well, now why? Why would that raise suspicion? I haven't heard anything about this. He turns out that he said that he was aware that some associates and members of the media were gossiping about his friendship with the Fox host and feared this particular connection would only make matters worse. He said he took it as, quote, an attack. Well, that's very interesting. That's actually something that I didn't know, but at the same time, hardly relevant. But still, speculation that the mooch might have been having a little bit of a relationship with Guilfoyle. I guess people would look at that and be like, oh, scandalous, scandalous. But for me personally, I don't really care about people's relationships. Whatever. I don't give a shit. But again, I guess I'm in the minority here when I don't actually give a shit again about who people are fucking or who people are dating or possibly dating. I don't really care. But anyway, add that to the speculation on top of the other issues. And look, that can easily put a huge spotlight on somebody. And that's something that Trump wants for himself and for his agenda. Now, another thing that hurt Scaramucci in that regard was the interview with Ryan Lizza. According to several sources to the White House, the president was initially amused by the Lizza exchange, but then changed his opinion when he saw how much negative attention it was bringing. Again, Trump right now, he's like, oh my God, negative attention. We do not need that negative attention. We already got the Russia thing. That's getting in the way. The Russia investigation. We got all these different scandals going on. We got all these different leaks. Now we got Anthony Scaramucci getting all this negative attention, which, look, in the interview, like, I talked about that in that phone call. He said that Steve Bannon likes to suck his own cock. That's pretty inflammatory. And, of course, Reince Priebus was a paranoid schizophrenic. Yeah, that's going to cost him, that's going to get some eyeballs, okay? That's going to get some attention. All right. So, now Scaramucci, when he found out that Trump was pissed, he said he offered to resign before the weekend. Now, the president reportedly told him that that wouldn't be necessary, but he instructed Scaramucci to watch it in the future, according to someone familiar with the conversation. There's another mark against Scaramucci, and that is, of course, more stuff about his marital problems. Now, again, I don't like that. I don't think we should be involved in talking about people's marriages. I don't really care. It's none of my business. But again, some people are going to talk about it, and it's going to make negative headlines. It's going to make you look bad. So after all that came out, all that together, Scaramucci, he knew he was fucked. Especially when retired Marine General John Kelly came in as the new chief of staff. Now, he had insisted that all White House staff would report to him, and when he did, Kelly asked for Scaramucci's resignation. He said, quote, "It was a very polite conversation." Scaramucci then went to see Trump, who was unavailable. He ended up speaking with the president, his daughter Ivanka, and his son-in-law Jared Kushner separately later in the day by telephone. He said, "All were gracious. The president told me he knows I have his back, but he has to try and tighten the ship." Again, that's the reason that he brought on General John Kelly. Now, the White House, I don't know if you noticed, but it's a bit of a disaster. Sad. A little bit of a mess. So, now Kelly, I think he's the right kind of guy to try to bring order. Not because I agree with him politically. I don't know where he stands for. But this is a guy who admires order and structure. And right now, Trump needs order and structure in the White House. He's got none of that. And right for now, Donald Trump's actually let him do that. Now, I've mentioned before, I wonder how long that's going to last. How long he's going to let John Kelly go before he starts trying to undermine him. Because again, Trump likes to be his own chief of staff, but he does a terrible, terrible job of doing so. But again, that's a story for a different day. So now let's go to, since we know what led to Scaramucci, at least according to his words, getting the axe, they then asked him, okay, well, now that you're gone, what are you going to do next? He said, quote, "I am now going to go dark." Whatever that means. Okay. And then he said, quote, "Then I will reemerge as me." What does that even mean? Aren't you already you? I don't quite understand, but okay, whatever, man. There it is. So he's going to go away. And then apparently he's going to come back moochier than ever. I don't know. But hey, man, he's telling you, you haven't seen the last of Mooch. I'm coming back. And look, let's be honest. he was incredibly loyal to Trump. And so I could definitely see him getting a less prominent position in the White House, one that doesn't involve him being in front of the camera. Because again, one of the biggest fears of Trump is somebody stealing the spotlight from him. So if they put him in a less prominent position where he doesn't get that exposure, where he's not the face of the administration, then I could definitely see him playing a role, because there are plenty that are open. But this isn't the end of the mooch in government, but at least according to my opinion. But in the end, I guess we'll have to see. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.